Hey guys, I welcome you to the first lesson of this 10-day course. This 10 days course is going to help you know everything about your exam. But before starting with your lesson, what if I tell you that you can clear the exam with 50% more probability just by sticking to the very basics? Yeah, you heard it right, 50% more probability. So before starting with the lesson, let me take you through the important areas that you need to understand and analyze. Number 1, past year papers. Number 2, previous year cutoff. Number 3, strategy of toppers. Number 4, important dates. Number 5, eligibility. And the last one, vacancies. With information about all these areas, you have a better strategy and a better chance to clear the exam in the very first attempt. Now you must be thinking, how do I find answers to these 6 questions or these 6 topics? Well, all the above information has already been gathered by me, so you don't have to search for them online. Just click on the links that have been provided below before starting your prep to make sure that you have a head start. And it gets even better. All the information is available for free. All the above 6 points have been answered by mentors like me who specialize in the same exam as yours. Now prepare better by not looking at hundreds of websites, looking for books, or looking for people who can help you out and tell you what to do. Just click on the links below to gather complete information about the examination and prepare better in a smarter way. I will not take more of your time. Before starting with the first lesson, make sure that you use the links below and complete all the 6 points that have been provided. Leave your competition behind.
Hello everyone. So in this particular lecture we are going to have a look at the occupational structure of the rural India. Okay, so what exactly does this constitute? What is an occupational structure? It basically indicates that what the people of a particular area are doing, what kind of occupations they are involved in. So in rural areas, a particular household belong to any of these following 6 particular occupations. The number 1 is that of self-employed in agriculture. So when I say self-employed, it means that I own the land and I am doing agriculture, right? Second is that of self-employed in non-agriculture. It is already explained that the one who is not involved in the agricultural activities would obviously be doing something else. So he is self-employed in non-agriculture activities. Third is regular wage and salary earning people. So people who are actually working in order to get a wage. So these are these people. Number 4th is that of casual labor in agriculture. So when I say casual labor, that means they are not permanent. They can be removed at any particular time. At the same time, they don't have their own land. Rather, they are working for people who are owning land. Right? When I say regular wage and earning, that means that these people are actually employed under permanent conditions. So when I say permanent conditions, you would mean that they are in the organized sector, right? The 5th part is casual labor in non-agriculture. Same thing, that these guys are not permanent, they come under unorganized sector, and at the same time they are in the non-agriculture sector. And then there is a miscellaneous category which we call it others. Okay, so in this particular slide, we'll have a look at the per thousand distribution of households as well as the population by the household type during 2011-12. When I say household type, it means that what kind of occupation the people are holding. So this first column over here indicates our household type. This indicates the number of households that are employed in that particular sector, and then this will indicate number of people involved in that. So this will be considering 1000 households, this particular column, and this will be considering 1000 people, right? So let's have a look at the table. So self-employed in agriculture, so of 1000 households involved in agricultural activities, we'll have 343 households out of those 1000 households working in agriculture, that is self-employed in agriculture. And if you have to consider 1000 people, you will have, of those 1000 people which have self-employed in agriculture, you will have 376 people. Similar is the case with non-agriculture. You will see that 155 households are working in the non-agriculture sector, and of 1000 people, 166 are working in this particular sector. So overall you can add these up, you'll get 498 households out of 1000 who are self-employed, and of 1000 people you will get 541 people who are self-employed. You can have a look at this particular table forward as well. The regular wage salary earning households are 96, and if you can take it into account number of people, you will get 93. Casual labor, you will get it as 210 households over here, and if you have to consider people, you will get 193. So this table is all about that. You should have a look at it and try to figure out what it is trying to say, right? So this is for your census of 2011-12. Okay, now let's have a look at the number of farmers in India. So census 2011 says that there are 118.9 million cultivators across the country, or 24.6% of the total workforce of over 481 million. So you can see that, you know, in India we talk about more than 50% of our employment which is coming out of agriculture sector, but census over here is saying that there is only 24.6% of the working population which is employed in agriculture, or which are farmers. So the catch here is that we're talking about the number of cultivators. So when I say cultivators over here, I mean that number of people who are working in agriculture sector and have their own land. So this 24.6% of population is working on their own land. So this is the figure which is coming out to be 118.9 million people. Of how many? The workforce is that of 481 million people. So this is the thing which has to be remembered over here. So you can see over here that this is the bar graph which is saying the same thing. 118.6 people are involved in agriculture or in cultivating activities, and if you take it into percentage activity, it would be 24.6. So you'll see that there is a downward trend going on here. In 2001, this number was 127.6 million people, and if you take it into percentage account, it was 31.7%. So you can see that people are actually moving away from agricultural activities and moving to different sectors, right? Okay, this table over here talks about the distribution of male and female cultivators in India. So you'll see that in 2001, in rural areas, there were 42% of male were employed in cultivating activities, and when I'm saying cultivator, it means they were holding their own land, and the figure was 37.1 for female. And when you consider the overall population, 40.2% in rural areas. So 40.2 percentage of the total population in rural sector, you would get them as the cultivators. And when you take the same thing for urban, you will find out that there are very few people, that is 2.8 percentage. And if you have to consider the overall population of India, the figure would come out to be 31.7, right? This is the 31.7 percentage of total population working as cultivator in 2001, and similar is the case with 2011. But you can see that there is a downward trend from 40.2, you will see 33 percentage over here for rural sector, and you'll see that you'll notice that in urban sector it remains almost the same, 2.8%. And when we have to take the total population into account, it would come out to be 24.6%. So the actual issue that you should consider over here is that that when we say that we are considering total number of cultivators in India, it would come out to be around 25%, that is 24.6, and that means that they are working on their own land, right? Here the same thing is being talked over here. There are 95.8 million cultivators for whom farming is their main occupation, which is less than 8% of the population. But then if you compare it with US, unlike the US, in India, when the family owns a piece of land, everyone works on the farm, right? So if my father owns a particular farm, I would be working for him as well. So in a way, the major cultivator is him, but he is also employing me. Me being his son, I'm actually accompanying him or helping him in agricultural activity. So I'm also employed in agriculture. It further says that if we make a rough calculation of say a 90 million household engaged in agriculture and multiply it with 5, we are multiplied with 5 because we are considering that average Indian family size is that of 5 people. The number you get pretty much is equivalent to 53%. So this is the number which we are talking about. So 53 percentage of Indian population, this is how they work in the agricultural sector. So that's why people all around the globe says that in India more than 50% people are actually employed in agriculture. This would also include, in turn, the casual laborers and other people who are working in the field. Uh, Indirectly they are actually dependent on agricultural activities for their employment. Now this slide is talking about agricultural laborers actually. So the first point says that very often agricultural labors are added with cultivators to calculate the number of farmers. So number of farmers would include sometimes, no, not sometimes, in fact very often, the people who are working on contracts or are working casually, they are also added with the total number of cultivators so that we get total number of farmers in India. But census does not do that. Census is a professional body, so it would not consider this vague sort of fusion between agricultural laborers and cultivators. This census defines agricultural labor as a person who works on another person's land for wages in money or kind of share. That is, he will either get paid in money or he would get share of, let's say if I'm plowing in wheat, I would get a share of wheat, right? So if a person is getting paid in wages in money or in share, is regarded as an agriculture laborer, right? So he is an agricultural laborer if he is working on someone else's land in return of money or some sort of share. So the figure in millions turns out to be 144.3 in 2011. So you would see that here there is an upward trend. So people are losing land and they are becoming casual agricultural labor. So this is a new phenomena that you would notice over here. And when it comes to percentage population, this is of agricultural labor, 26.7 percentage to 30. So another upward trend over here. So agricultural laborer population in India has increased if you have to consider the last decade. It says that during the decade 2001 to 2011, the census result shows a fall of about 9 million in cultivators and an increase of about 38 million in agricultural laborers. So you would see that people who owned land previously, they are now, they might have moved to some other sector or they have sold their agricultural land for some reason. So 9 million fall is that of in cultivators population, those who own land, and then there's an increase of 38 million in agricultural labor. So this is actually a regressive precedent that India has set over here in this particular decade, that there's a huge population which has been added into the laborer part. So you have to remember this particular point as well. Now the next point says that, so if we add the number of cultivators and agricultural laborers, it would turn out to be 263 million or 22% of the population, right? Then again the same question arises, then why does the common perception of 53% of population being involved in agriculture comes from? Why do we say that the 50 more than 50% of Indian population is involved in agriculture here? Because now that you have clear cut number, that number of cultivators and agricultural laborer, this is turning out to be 263 million. So you have to keep one thing in mind, that if here in this particular case we haven't taken the average family size, right, which is that of which is almost about 5, right? At the same time, when we say that primary sector or agriculture sector we should also be including the allied sector of agriculture, which would employ other parts as well. The just like fisheries and livestock farming, those things have to be included in agriculture sector as well, when we say that more than 50% of Indian population is involved in agriculture. The next point here says that it needs to be remembered that over 600 million Indians dependent on agriculture are not farmers. They are deployed in an array of related activities including fisheries. So same thing that I said earlier, that fisheries would also be, should be included when you say that agriculture and allied sectors. Okay, now let's have a look at the size holding of land in India. So this classification is actually important. Sometimes several questions are asked that when you say that what is a marginal size holding, what is the exact area of that particular land. So when it comes to marginal, we are talking about below 1 hectare, and when it comes to small, it is between 1 to 2, semi medium 2 to 4, medium 4 to 10, and large farmers would be owning 10 hectare and above land. The percentage of number of operational holdings in total, 67% of land holding in India would belong to people who are marginal farmers. So you can see a trend over here that these would be the people who would actually be falling into the poverty criteria, and then 17.9% of people are falling into the small farmers category, because they own land between 1 to 2. And if you look at the corresponding populations, or rather corresponding land percentage of area operated to total, that of all the land which is being sold in India, 22.5% of land is actually being sold in the marginal areas, right? So when marginal areas is being sold, you can obviously say that one particular marginal land which is adjacent to another marginal land would be, if they are sowing different crops or different vegetables in their land, you would be able to notice that the productivity won't be that high, because it is not being done on a large scale. So that is the problem over here in India. uh, and when you look at the small areas, it would turn out to be again 22.08%. And if you look at the large area, the percentage number of operational holding is 0.7%, and the total land would be that of 10.59%. So do check out this particular table, try to remember the facts over here, because sometimes it is being asked in the questions as well.